Okay, we're going to practice writing scenarios to match equations. So if I was asked to write a real-life scenario for the equation 3x plus 2 equals y, the first thing that I ask myself is, what is the value that I would start with? And what I mean by that is, if x was 0, what would y be? So to figure that out, I could plug in 0 for x. Now remember, when there's no operation symbol between two things, it's multiplication. So here I would see 3 times 0 is 0 plus 2 is 2. That means that my starting value is 2. Then I ask myself, what is my constant rate of change? To figure that out, I just create a table to help me see that. So I know that if x was 0, y was 2, and then I go, okay, if x was 1, then I would go 3 times 1 plus 2. Again, I'm just plugging it into my equation. 3 times 1 is 3, plus 2 is 5. And I said if x was 2, then I would have 3 times 2, which is 6, plus 2, which is 8. And if x was 3, I would have 3 times 3, which is 9, plus 2, which is 11. At this point, I can see that my constant rate of change as x increases by 1 is 3. Remember, that's called our coefficient. So our coefficient, or a constant rate of change, is 3. So what I ask myself now is, what's a real-life situation where I would start with 2 of something and go up by 3 of something every time? There are lots of different types of scenarios we could use. We could use temperature, we could use money, we could use recording inches of rain, a number of different things. So let's give a couple examples. So one, I could say, I have $2 in savings, and I save $3 more each week. In that situation, what we start with, or our y-intercept, is the $2 we have in savings. What we increase by every time, or our coefficient, is 3. Let's say if we did temperature instead, I could say it's 2 degrees Fahrenheit now, and the temperature is expected to rise 3 degrees every hour. It's important that we do say every hour or every week to show that it will continually go up by 3. Okay, if I gave you another example, like let's say we had the equation 2x plus 5 equals y. Again, when I go to write my scenario, I want to go, okay, what's my starting value? For that, I plug 0 in for x. So if I plug 0 in for x, I can see that it would be 2 times 0 plus 5. 2 times 0 is 0, plus 5 is 5. So my starting value is 5. Then I find my rate of change by continuing to look for that pattern. So again, I know if x was 0, y was 5. If x was 1, it would be 2 times 1, which is 1, plus 5, which is 7. If x was 2, I would go 2 times 2, which is 4, plus 5 is 9. And at this point, I can see that the constant rate of change is 2. And it is increasing by 2 every time. So now I'm going to write a story problem where I start with 5 and go up by 2 every however long. So I could say, let's see, 5 inches of rain have already fallen, and 2 inches more of rain is expected every hour. Again, then you can see that you're starting at a value of 5 and you're going up by a value of 2 every hour. Or you could say, I have $5 in my checking account and I get $2 more every week for allowance. Just to give you a few examples of scenarios that you could write. Again, always look for your starting value and your rate of change before you try to write your story problem.